So the girl who cannot shut up about Irish literature finally went to Ireland, hit up a bunch of bookstores, and damage was done. So let's get into this book haul. I'm filming this literally right after my little travel vlog, but we were in Ireland for 2 weeks. If you're new to this space, hello, my name is Kat. I have been very deeply obsessed with Irish books, and so I decided to gift myself a trip to the home of the place where so many of my new favorite writers come from. Did a lot of nature stuff, but obviously in the UNESCO City of Literature, hit up a bunch of bookstores. So the only rule I had was that the books that I bought should be by an Irish author. Honestly, that's not a hard rule to abide by because, again, I've been very much enjoying Irish literature. I tried to pick up books that I also haven't really seen in the States. There were a couple of writers who I saw in Ireland who I had never come across here. But yeah, that was kind of like the parameter. Got a bunch of books and I'm excited to chat about them. I did immediately break that rule. The first book I got in Kilkenny, and it was Cien Años de Soledad, 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Look at this cover. Can we for a second have a moment because it's gorgeous. I really love these modern classic editions. I saw this and really liked it. I also saw a copy of Love in the Time of Cholera. It was also gorgeous, but I stopped myself because we were traveling in Ireland on public transit and I really did not want to be lugging all of these books, especially if they did not fulfill the assignment, which was to feed our little Irish collection. So yeah, 100 Years of Solitude, it's about the Buendia family. It's Gabo. And I don't care about having 1,000,001 editions of this book. I do have like 4 editions. One day I will read it and I'm glad to have this copy. In retrospect, I should have gotten Love in the Time of Cholera, but whatever. I guess I'm not gonna go in order, but we did break the rule yet again. When I was in Bantry at the West Cork Literary Festival, we were in the little bookshop in town and I flipped to a page of this Fernando Pessoa little poetry collection and I really liked it, so I bought it. It's another little penguin modern classic. They're super cute. But Fernando Pessoa, he's a writer that I really would like to get into. He intimidates me a little bit, but I feel like when I do finally approach him, it's gonna be really well worth it. The next book that I got is Montpellier Parade by Carl Geary. I read Juno Loves Legs last December-ish, January-ish, and it was a book that gripped me, broke me, held me. It was just such an emotional ride, such a beautiful, beautiful book, gorgeous writing, so much heart in that book. It's a story of friendship and love. I can't think about it too much because it will make me start crying. But when I planned this trip, I told myself that I really wanted to try to find Carl Geary's debut novel. This cover, I actively loathe. I was at a bookstore in Dublin called The Winding Stair. I had kind of forgotten about my mission with this book and I saw it and I was like, oh shit, I have to find a nice cover of this. And of course it was my last day in Dublin. So I ran across the bridge to another bookstore to see if they had it in stock, one of these larger bookstores, and they did not. So I ran back to The Winding Stair and took this because really it's the content of your character that matters. But if I do find another version of this, I will be getting it. I feel like I couldn't leave Ireland without buying this book from Ireland, and Carl Geary is from Dublin, so this feels special. Maybe the cover will grow on me. Who knows? This one is about, I believe, a young man and an older woman. Yes, Vera is older, wealthier, sophisticated, but chance meetings quickly become shy arrangements and soon Sunny is in love for the first time. I am super, super excited to get into this one. If you've not read Carl Geary, that might be like my #1 recommendation. Read Juno Loves Legs. Do yourself that favor. That book was insane. It was so good. The next book I got was Evenings and Weekends by Ocean McKenna. I just feel like I've seen this a ton and I felt left out. I got this in Hodges Fidges in Dublin. It's by an Irish writer, but it takes place in London. It's queer, happens in a summer. I think there's like a pregnant woman in it, but she's like contemplating motherhood. Maggie, she's 30, pregnant, broke, faced with moving back to the town she fought to escape. She's wondering if having a baby with her boyfriend Ed will be the last spontaneous act of her life. Ed, meanwhile, is trying to run from his past with Maggie's best friend Phil and harboring secret dreams of his own. Just seen a lot of people really rave about this one, call it the best book of 2024. I'm curious. And it's also a really pretty edition of it, so we got this one. I picked up Brooklyn by Colm Tóibín. I have a copy of Long Island and everyone very kindly let me know that that is the second book and this is the first book. So I picked up a copy of Brooklyn. I felt like it was fitting. I've mentioned this before, but Colm Tóibín is everywhere. I've not read anything by him, but he's been in conversation with a lot of the writers who I really admire. Like I know he was in conversation with Nisha Dolan and other millennial Irish women writers today. This one and it's like a family saga. I just feel like I should read him, but we'll see when we get to this one. I got this really pretty journal in Dingle. I went to Dingle for a day and I went into this really cute store while eating my Murphy's ice cream and saw this journal and really fell in love with it. The brand is Badly Made Books, and the cover just felt like all of the scenery I was experiencing there. So I was really excited to get that. I don't know what I will make of this journal, like what purpose I will give it. But yeah, always cool to get. I'll do that later. Always cool to get a journal. The next book, Mouthing by Orla Mackey. I got this one when I was in Galway at a bookstore called Charlie Burns Bookstore. That is one of my favorite bookstores in Ireland. It had a lot of personality, had a huge literary fiction section, just meandering through the store. It just felt very homey and like a place where you can just sit on a stool somewhere and read a book. I guess all bookstores have that vibe, but there was something very charming about this bookstore. And this is a book that I have not seen in the States. It is a debut short story collection. Don't know what it's about, but it is Blurred by Colin Walsh, who wrote Calla, which I really loved. That is a literary thriller, which is really gorgeously written. But this one seems cool. People have said full of humor, pierced with longing, caught between connection and claustrophobia, terrifically sharp-witted and deeply moving, full of characters who will simultaneously make your blood boil and break your heart into little bits. They call it an unsentimental love letter to rural Irish life. I remember flipping to a page and really liking the texture of the voice. The sort of grit of the voice was really distinctively Irish. So super excited to get into that one. There were a couple of short stories that I encountered. There was another short story collection called Barcelona by Mary Costello and Old Romantics by Maggie something. I'm gonna put pictures here. Those also sound really good, but I feel like a lot of cool short story collections are coming out, and in theory I am a short story girly, but I'm not the best at picking those up, and so I just wanted to make sure. I really feel like I'm in my novel era even though I really do enjoy short stories when I give myself the opportunity to read them. Yeah, just knowing where I am and like my trends with reading right now, I didn't want to buy books that were just going to sit on a shelf. I really wanted to make sure the books that I got were books that I read. When I was in Killarney, I took a day trip to Bantry, which was where the West Cork Literary Festival was taking place. There was a man who had a used book stand amongst all the like food vendors and little other trinket vendors, and a lot of the books were very unfamiliar to me, but I was walking down and I caught this at the very end of his stall and I sprinted towards it because one of the books that I also really wanted to get while on this trip was The Wren by Anne Enright. This is a book that I have already read and feel very dearly about. It was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, and it's a really special multi-generational story about these women and how they love. I just had such a wonderful experience with this book and I wanted it to be part of my collection. Cool thing is that it is also signed. Very excited about this one. And then I met up with Liv. She actually found this book, which is another Anne Enright, and she was gonna get it, and then she's like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah. This is just another Anne Enright. I'm really curious to read more by her. I also want to read The Actress. These are the two I'm like sort of prioritizing by this writer. It's also a very pretty cover. When I was in Galway, there was a bookstore called Dubray Books. At that bookstore, I got Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. This one also won an award, the Women's Prize. It was longlisted for the Women's Prize. Just heard fantastic things about it, and I also really like the cover. An unforgettable heroine whose fierce love for her young son clashes with the seismic change to her own identity. As her marriage strains and she struggles with questions of autonomy, creativity, and the passing of time, an old friend makes a welcome return. But can he really offer a lifeline to the woman she used to be? Have just heard fantastic things about this book, and I'm really excited to get into it. I don't think I know anyone who has blurbed it, but yeah, I feel like this one has a pretty established hype and backing, especially like on booktube. Very happy about that. When I was at Dubray Books in Galway, I also got this, Ruth and Pen by Emily Pine. I've heard a ton about this writer and I've not read anything by them. I know that Notes to Self I think is nonfiction, memoir, and a lot of people really like that one. I didn't want to start with a memoir, so I picked this one. I don't know any of the blurbers, but this one says, one day, one city, two women, Ruth and Pen. Neither knows the other, but both are asking the same questions. How to be with others and how when the world won't make space for you to be with yourself. You and I are friends, right? I had to take a break because battery was dying and all of the good stuff. But to get back to our little haul, the next book, well, the next 3 books actually that I got at the West Cork Literary Festival. So the only conversation that we were around for, or at least I was around for, was the conversation between Caleb Azuma Nelson, who wrote Open Water as his debut, and his sophomore novel Small Worlds. He was in conversation with Ronan Hessian, whose most recent novel is called Ghost Mountain. So what happens to a place when a mountain suddenly appears in the center of the town. It sounds really, really interesting. It's blurbed by Donald Ryan, who was in conversation with Blind Boy, and that was like the first episode of the Blind Boy podcast that I listened to and really loved. I still have not read anything by Donald Ryan, but that's also on my list. I also think this cover is absolutely gorgeous. They were talking about the illustrator of this and how intentional the process of picking a cover is. And his previous novel is Panenka. This is the one that Liv read. She has a gorgeous review of it up on Instagram. And this is about a man and his grandfather. There's football involved. Yeah, this was shortlisted for the Irish Novel of the Year. Liv really liked it, so I'm going to read it. And then we all know or maybe we don't know what Open Water is about, but it's about these 2 young people falling in love in London, is that correct? Yes, in London, and it's about Black love, and there's a lot of music in it. And when I met him, I just started gushing because I really do love him as a person. I think he's so sweet. And yeah, he wrote to Catherine, "Here's to our open waters." And I'll just leave that at that. The last book that I got in Ireland was The Portrait of a Young Artist. I got this one from Charlie Byrne in Galway. Oh, it was only €5. I should have gotten the pretty one that I saw. There was another really pretty modern classics edition of this at Hodges Fidges in Dublin, but I got this one in Galway. I thought the cover was really, really pretty. When I was in Dublin, one of my first stops there was the Museum of Literature. I don't know if this is like at his house or something, but there was a huge James Joyce exhibit, timeline of his life, sort of a reverence to his work. A lot of artists that I really love have always spoken very highly about James Joyce, and I feel like he's someone that I would really like to read. I did get it. I remember looking at the font though and being like, that's gonna be a task. So I really should have gotten the one from Hodges Fidges, but that's okay. Those are the books that I got in Ireland. I've also gotten some really cool book mail just in general. When I got back, all of these packages were at my door. So I figured since we're in the spirit of book hauling, I would show you what I've gotten. The first package I got was The Long Island Compromise by Taffy Broditzer Anchor. I didn't read Fleischman is in Trouble, but I watched the adaptation, and I feel like that is one of the best adaptations that I've seen. Like, it was just such a phenomenal show. I remember really being impressed with it. If you're interested in narratives around motherhood, if you're interested in narratives around what it means to live a life in your 30s and what it means to sort of subvert the expectations that are cast upon you as you're moving through life, I really recommend at least the show. I'm sure the book is great. Yeah, I was really excited to see that she was coming out with a new book. I didn't realize I was going to be getting this package, but very cool. So I'm super excited to read it. The package came in this cool little box. We also got a little matchbox. We got this very cool tote. I have ties to Long Island, so this is actually pretty on the nose for me. I don't know if I'd have to wear it like this. And cool hat. Yeah, that was a really cool little box to come home to. We also just got a copy of Liars by Sarah Manguso. I've actually already read this book and had very strong feelings about it. That's a positive statement. I absolutely wanted to fight her husband, and it put me in a dark place in the best way possible. This one's blurbed by Claire Dieter, Maggie Smith, Miriam Gurba, Julia Phillips. If you're into books on the dark underbelly of marriage and all of those expectations and the infuriating realities of all of that, pick this one up. This one was, yeah, made me angry, but in like the best way. The last package that I got is one that's really, really beautiful. This one was sent over by Penguin Random. It is in celebration of Jimmy Baldwin's 100th birthday. I have only read Fire Next Time. I've read about him peripherally, so I've read a ton about him through Eddie Glaude's book, Begin Again. That was one of my favorite books of 2021. One, gorgeously written. I think that Eddie offers so much to the like literary analysis and biography of Baldwin and how he sort of looks at the state of our nation through Baldwin's work. Beautifully done. He also has a great podcast. I'll link it down below. He was featured on Throughline and he has a great sort of like podcast on Jimmy. I really want to get more into Baldwin's fiction. I just haven't gotten around to it. So this is like a perfect opportunity. And I opened this and then got really overwhelmed and had to put it away because there's so many cool little goodies. There's access to his play, The Amen Corner. There's some Brooklyn tea. Oh my god, there's so many books in here. Okay, so the first, oh, how cool. I actually really love these editions. Every Man's Library edition. It has The Fire Next Time, Nobody Knows My Name, No Name in the Street, and The Devil Finds Work. That's incredible. So that's in there. We also have James Baldwin, Everybody's Protest Novel. Huh. This is a collection of essays revealing an intimate portrait of his own search for identity as an artist, as a black man, and as an American. That's really cool. I've not heard of this at all. That's awesome. And the thing that I like opened it and freaked out and had to close it because I sometimes can't handle the sensations of overwhelm is this beautiful box set with these illustrations on the front. So this has If Beale Street Could Talk, Giovanni's Room, and Go Tell It on the Mountain. I'm not sure if you guys have read any Baldwin, which one would you recommend? I'm feeling like I want to do Giovanni's Room. I feel like that one's been on my list for a bit. But If Beale Street Could Talk, I also want to read. I don't know, but this is so gorgeous. And I'm so grateful. This is awesome. And what else is in here? What's this? Ooh, a journal. This is cool. Oh, very cool. It has like this nice thing that says Baldwin 100. Wow, gorgeous. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. And finally, we have a tote. I love America more than any other country in the world, and exactly for this reason I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. Gorgeous. I love Jimmy, and this is really special, so grateful for the folks over at Penguin Random House for sending this over. And yeah, I do think that is actually it. I got home and now have to run errands for my next trip. I am going to Guatemala. Have wanted to go for a long time, so I'll be going there. But in any case, I guess we'll see each other sometime in the fall. I'm saying this because I don't know when I'm going to post this one, but the next time we actually talk for realsies will probably be in the fall with a maybe summer wrap-up of the things that we've been reading. We've not been reading a ton, but I just picked up Elena Knows and that one's really good. So yeah, good things are being read and I'm excited about it. But yeah, that, my friends, is it. Let me know how you've been doing, how your summer's been going, or I guess, I don't know by the time how your summer went, but I miss y'all. I miss chatting with y'all. I hope everything is well. I think that's it. We'll see each other soon. Bye.